The morning sun streamed through the cafe's dusty windows, casting long golden lines across the worn wooden floor. Maria, a young waitress with tired eyes but a heart that refused to harden, moved quickly from table to table, balancing steaming cups of coffee and day-old pastries. Life had never been kind to her. She juggled 2 jobs, unpaid bills stacked high at home, and a small apartment that smelled faintly of mold and regret. But she carried on, not because she wanted to, but because she had to. Today, like every other day, she hoped to find a moment of warmth amidst the grind. In the corner sat an elderly man, hunched over a notebook, scribbling something that looked like a letter or a journal. His hands trembled slightly, not just from age, but from the heaviness of solitude. Maria had seen him several times over the past few weeks. There was a quiet dignity about him, the kind that demanded respect without needing to say a word. On this particular morning, the café was bustling, the air thick with the aroma of roasted beans and freshly baked muffins. Maria approached him with a warm smile, ready to take his order, but before he could speak, she noticed his worn coat and frayed gloves. Something inside her stirred. Without thinking, she poured a fresh cup of coffee, added a small cinnamon roll on a napkin, and placed it gently in front of him. "On the house," she whispered softly, afraid he might refuse, "just a little pick-me-up." The old man looked up, his eyes glistening, and for a moment, Maria thought she saw a flicker of gratitude, perhaps even relief, in them. But before she could linger on the moment, the cafe manager, a stern woman named Denise, appeared behind her with a scowl. "What are you doing?" Denise hissed. "You can't just give things away for free. That's not our policy." Maria's heart sank. I just wanted to help," she stammered. "Help?" Denise's voice was cold as ice. "You're fired. Pack your things." Shock rooted Maria to the spot. Customers murmured softly, some casting sympathetic glances, but none dared interfere. Within minutes, Maria had gathered her belongings, the weight of humiliation pressing down on her chest. The old man, however, stood slowly, his cane tapping softly on the floor, and nodded at her with a small, knowing smile. It was fleeting, but it felt like a lifeline amid the storm. But if you believe in kindness and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Grandma's Book. That evening, Maria trudged home through the crisp day, the city humming with ordinary life that seemed oblivious to her misery. She sank onto her threadbare couch and let the tears come, remembering her father's words long ago: kindness isn't always rewarded, but it's never wasted. She tried to convince herself she had done nothing wrong, yet the sting of rejection lingered, gnawing at her. The next morning, just as the cafe was opening, a sleek black limousine pulled up to the curb. Heads turned, and whispers spread like wildfire. Out stepped the elderly man, but this time he was not alone. Beside him were 2 sharply dressed lawyers carrying briefcases, papers tucked neatly under their arms. Maria, who had been walking nearby, froze in disbelief. Her heart pounded. Was this a coincidence? Or fate? The old man approached the cafe entrance, his steps measured, deliberate. He paused, glanced toward the window where Denise had taken her position behind the counter, and beckoned her over. Trembling, Maria obeyed, and when she stood before him, he extended a hand holding a small envelope. Inside was not only a letter but a contract, a proposal that would change the course of her life. "You have a good heart," he said quietly, his voice carrying a weight of sincerity and years of life lived. "And good hearts deserve a second chance." The lawyers explained that he was a retired philanthropist, someone who had quietly supported countless charitable projects over the decades, often under the radar. He had witnessed Maria's act of kindness, and it had stayed with him, sparking an idea. He wanted to give her an opportunity to manage a small coffee shop he was opening in the city, one that would not only employ struggling individuals but also serve as a sanctuary for those who needed a moment of peace. Tears welled up in Maria's eyes as she realized that her act of courage and compassion, something she had feared would only bring punishment, had now unlocked a door she never thought possible. The old man smiled again, that quiet, knowing smile, and said, "Sometimes, the universe tests us in the most unexpected ways. You passed." The cafe manager, Denise, watched in stunned silence as Maria, once humiliated and rejected, now stood on the threshold of a new beginning. Customers who had witnessed the event applauded softly, some wiping tears from their eyes. Maria's journey had been painful, but in that moment, it became a story of hope, a story of how a single act of kindness could ripple out and transform lives in ways no one could anticipate. As Maria stepped into her new role, she promised herself she would always remember the lesson: generosity and compassion were never wasted, even when the world seemed harsh and unforgiving. The old man returned to his seat in the corner, sipping his coffee with quiet satisfaction, knowing he had helped rewrite someone's story. If this story touched your heart, please engage with this video, like, comment, and share. And always remember to carry kindness wherever you go. Special request: take a moment today to do something unexpected for someone else. You never know how far a simple gesture can reach. Maria's life had changed, yes, but more importantly, her faith in humanity had been restored. In a world that often seems cold and indifferent, there are still moments of profound warmth. And sometimes, those moments come when you least expect them, reminding us all that kindness has a way of finding its way home.